In this episode, you'll discover the 3 biggest mistakes people make when deciding to visit Hawaii. Plus, practical tips to avoid those mistakes so you can make the most of your trip to Hawaii. Aloha and welcome to Hawaii's Best, the podcast helping travelers plan an unforgettable Hawaii vacation with insider tips and featuring local voices. I'm Brian Murphy, a husband, dad of 3, and certified Hawaii destination expert. Each week, I share local insights, travel tips, and up-to-date news, sometimes with guests across Hawaii and sometimes solo, all to help you plan your next trip to Hawaii. Now, I totally get it. Planning the trip to the islands can feel overwhelming, especially when you're trying to figure out the best time to go. It's easy to make some mistakes along the way or just not know what to do as you are planning, especially your very first time going to Hawaii. By the end of this episode, you'll know if you're making one of these 3 common mistakes most people make when planning their trip to Hawaii. And if you find yourself making any of these, don't worry, I'll share how to avoid them so you can have a more smoother, more enjoyable time and a more meaningful vacation to the islands. Mistake number 1 that most people make when planning what time of year to visit Hawaii is not planning around Hawaii's peak travel seasons. Now, I totally get it. Not everyone has the flexibility to travel whenever they want because we got work, kids in school, coordinating family schedules, and I get it. Sometimes peak season is the only option, but understanding what to expect and planning ahead can make all the difference in the world. The busiest times in Hawaii are during the winter holidays from mid-December to early January, and the summer months, especially from mid-June to early August. These times during the year definitely attract a huge number of visitors to the islands. For example, in December of 2024, Hawaii welcomed over 900,000 visitors in just 1 month, with spending reaching over $2 billion. Also in July of last year, 2024, the numbers for visitors were 919,000, making it one of the busiest months of the year. Hotel occupancy rates during these times can hit a staggering 90% or even higher. Prices for accommodations and flights are often double or even triple what you would pay during the quieter months of the year. Spring break from around March-ish to early April is another time when you'll see a spike in visitors, though not as quite as insane as the winter holidays or summer. But these peak seasons mean crowded beaches, longer times at attractions, restaurants, and possible limited availability for tours and activities. So then what's the solution? I want to kind of break it down into 2 parts for you. The first is, if you have the flexibility, consider traveling during Hawaii's shoulder season. So these are late April to early June and September to mid-November. For example, in September of 2024, visitor numbers dropped to 707,000. During these times, you can expect fewer crowds, lower prices typically, and much more availability for everything from hotel rooms to activities, and even on Maui, which faced challenges after August of 2023, the wildfires that destroyed Lahaina. There was a strong recovery by September of 2024 with an average of 41,000 visitors per day, up significantly from the year before in 2023. So traveling during these quieter periods can help save you money, give you more breathing room around some popular spots, and make you feel more peaceful overall just experiencing the islands. Well, what if you can only go during peak season? And I totally get it. You can still have an amazing trip. And here are some tips just to consider if you are going to go during peak season, those summer or holiday months. Book as early as possible. For example, flights, hotels, and activities fill up pretty fast during those busy seasons. So locking in your plans early can help you get better rates and options. Also consider staying on less crowded islands like Kauai or the Big Island of Hawaii. Those are typically less crowded than Maui or Oahu. For flights, if you can travel midweek, you can typically get a better rate. I've been able to find that traveling on, say, like a Tuesday or a Wednesday is definitely a lot more cheaper from what I found than a Saturday or Sunday. Same thing for hotels. And that's if you have the flexibility to do that, it's definitely worth looking into midweek options. If you are visiting Hawaii during peak season, you want to also be willing to adjust your schedule. Visiting popular attractions early in the morning or later in the afternoon can help you avoid larger crowds. One more thing to consider is that you'll want to budget a little bit extra because things like rental cars, meals, accommodations, they definitely tend to cost more during these peak seasons. You want to build that into your planning and your budget. Hawaii is beautiful year round. Doesn't matter what month you go in, but having the right preparation in mind can definitely help you get the most of your time in the islands, no matter when you go. The second mistake that a lot of people do make is assuming Hawaii has no seasons. Many people assume that Hawaii has the same weather year round. It's summer all year round, warm, sunny, and perfect. Well, it's true that Hawaii's climate is far more stable than most places. The islands do experience subtle seasonal variations that can impact your trip depending on when and where you go and what side of the island you're staying on. Understanding these differences can help you choose the best time for your visit. First, let's talk about the temperature. I just want to pop in here and say if you found any value in listening to Hawaii's Best is to simply follow the podcast on the app you're using right now. If you're on Apple Podcasts, just tap that little follow button in the top right corner. It's that easy, and doing so helps more people like you who love Hawaii find the show. And now back to the episode. Hawaii's temperature remains fairly consistent throughout the year, but there are slight differences between summer and winter. From May to October, the average daytime temperatures are around 85 degrees, with nights a little bit cooler at 71 degrees. The warmest months are typically August and September. In contrast, during the winter months of November to April, daytime temperatures drop slightly to an average of 78 degrees, with nighttime lows around 62 degrees. The coolest months tend to be February and March. The climate can change depending on which island and what side of the island you are staying on. So, for example, if you're in Waikiki, you're in Honolulu, on Oahu, the temperatures range from 68 to 87 pretty much year-round. And Maui ranges from 80 to 88 degrees Fahrenheit. Kauai is a little cooler with a range of 78 to 84 degrees. What's crazy is Haleakala and Mauna Kea, the temperatures can drop significantly, even dipping below freezing. So if you're planning on doing a sunset or sunrise at Haleakala, you definitely want to pack a jacket. Be aware that it'll probably be cold, especially Mauna Kea. You can definitely get snow up there, which is pretty cool. The wet season, which runs from November to April, this is probably the biggest thing that most people are worried about or concerned about is getting too wet in Hawaii. During November to April is when the islands receive most of their annual rain. During this time, the windward, the more northeastern side of the islands exposed to trade winds, receive significantly more rain than the leeward, the southwestern side, remain much drier compared to the windward side. So, for example, the windward mountain slopes, like those on the Big Island and Kauai, can receive over 300 inches of rain annually. The leeward coastal areas, such as Waikiki on Oahu or Kihei on Maui, may see less than 20 inches per year. Hilo on the Big Island of Hawaii is one of the wettest towns in the U.S., receiving more than 130 inches of rain annually, while Mount Wailele on Kauai is one of the wettest spots in all the earth with over 460 inches of rain annually. And all this data I'm getting is from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. So while Hawaii's weather is generally mild and enjoyable, these subtle seasonal and regional variations can make a big difference in planning your trip. If you're looking for warmer temperatures and drier conditions, summer months and leeward locations are ideal. If you are visiting in the month of February, you might want to consider staying on the leeward side of whichever island you're staying on. So, for example, you maybe Waikiki or Ko'olina on Oahu are good options if you're planning on staying during the wetter months. You're more likely to get a little bit drier and a little bit more warmer temperatures during that time of year on that side of the island. And finally, mistake number 3 that most people make when planning to visit Hawaii is overlooking the importance of responsible tourism. It probably goes without saying that tourism plays a massive role in Hawaii's economy. Hawaii's environment, culture, and communities are unique and definitely fragile. So being aware of that is super important when visiting Hawaii, no matter what time of year. Practicing responsible tourism isn't just about respect, though that's super important. It's essential to preserving what makes Hawaii so special for both visitors and residents. Many people overlook how their actions can impact the islands, but small, thoughtful changes can definitely make a big difference. Tourism accounts for approximately 21% of Hawaii's GDP, supporting over 216,000 jobs statewide and generating nearly $17.8 billion in visitor spending, and that was just in 2019. It also contributes to more than $2 billion in tax revenue annually. However, many Native Hawaiians and locals work in low-paying service jobs, and the high cost of living, partially driven by tourism and outsiders moving to the islands, creates economic disparities. The demand for vacation rentals make it harder for locals to afford housing, displacing many communities. In addition, Hawaii's ecosystem are among the most delicate in the world. Pollution threatened coral reefs, native forests, and cultural sites. For example, harmful chemicals like oxybenzone and octinoxate damage coral reefs, which led to Hawaii to ban these chemicals. One of the smallest ways that you can help is by using reef-safe sunscreen and staying on marked trails when you go out and you hike to avoid harming native plants and wildlife. Hawaii's culture is deeply rooted in Native Hawaiian traditions, which deserve respect and understanding. And unfortunately, tourism sometimes commodifies Hawaiian culture, reducing sacred practices and sites to just mere entertainment. Places like Mauna Kea and Iolani Palace hold spiritual and historical significance. So they are not just attractions or things on the itinerary. They are sacred places to Native Hawaiians. For you and I, as we visit, it's important to approach places like Iolani Palace with care and learn from their significance. Engaging with Hawaiian culture authentically is another way to make a positive impact. So consider attending events like the Merry Monarch Festival or participating in lei-making workshops. A lot of resorts offer that. No matter where you're staying, it's important to kind of look and see what the resort or hotel is doing. And I'm sure that there are ways that you can learn more about Hawaiian culture, even through like a lei-making class. Also, supporting Native Hawaiian-owned businesses ensures that your dollars directly benefit local communities. So when you can, definitely seek out those Hawaiian-owned businesses. A lot of them are restaurants or going to the local farmers market. Those are good opportunities to support local while you're there. By being mindful of traveling to Hawaii responsibly, you can help keep it a beautiful and vibrant place that we all love and we can all enjoy for our children's. And it's one of those things that I think is in all of our care to be aware of, and not just a place to just enjoy, but a place to also steward the best we can. And that's all I got for you today. Thank you so much for listening and making it all the way to the end. Until next time, be well. Aloha. Real quick, if you've ever gotten any value from the show, please, if you haven't yet, leave us a 5-star review. I get a notification every time, and they almost always make my day, and I really would love to hear from you. It really helps our team and helps us keep going and making episodes that help bring you closer to Hawaii. Mahalo for listening to this episode of Hawaii's Best. To stay up to date on future episodes, hit follow on your podcast app. Hawaii's Best is a production of Shorebreak Media Group, with editing by Easy Podcast Solutions, and music courtesy of our friends Stick Figure.